What up, what up, what up? How y'all doing tonight? It's been a while, you know? We didn't go live last week, but thanks for pulling up if you're here tonight. If you're in the live, or if you're part of the rewatch gang, I appreciate you for pulling up. This is Hawk Soups live NBA show that happens every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Happens every Wednesday. We talk about games, we talk about free agency, we talk about rumors, we talk about a whole lot of everything. Happens every Wednesday, 8 p.m. on the YouTube channel. It's usually about an hour and a half. Towards the end, we usually open up the Discord for some Q&As. People drop their hot takes. It's a vibe. Also, I want to say shout out to y'all for subscribing. This past week, no exaggeration, I want to say we got like these past like two weeks, we got literally 1,000 subscribers. So I appreciate everybody who subscribed recently, everybody who's joined the channel, rocking with me, rocking with the community that we're trying to build here. I appreciate y'all. So we're going to head and hop right into it. We got a lot to talk about, and I mean a lot. The NBA has been absolutely crazy. Princess, what's up? Yes, we are live. Stream roll. Nah, we don't do stream rolls over here. If you see a stream on this channel, you seeing me live. I be seeing people stream rolls. I don't like that. I don't like that. If you see me, we live. B Art, what's good? All right, we got a lot to talk about. We didn't go live last week. I think the last time we went live wasn't last week, but the week before. It was still the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals were actually still going on the last time we went live. We didn't go live last Wednesday. I took the week off, if you will, but we back. I plan on being here basically throughout the entire summer. And we got a lot to talk about. Real quick though, shout out to the Warriors. Shout out to Golden State Warriors for winning. Shout out to Steph Curry for winning this Finals MVP. A lot of people have asked me, is Steph Curry now in my top 10? I'll be honest, no. I thought about it. Does he have a top 10 resume? You can make that argument. Would I be mad if you had him in your top 10? No, but he's not in mine just because I don't know who I would remove yet. Will he probably be in top 10 by the time he retires? Most likely. I'll end it on that. What's good, Rob? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. Would you accept this trade, Luka, for Middleton and how does that even work? Those guys aren't even on the same. So a 3-team trade. So what? Who's getting who? What, Rob? Oh, the chat is busy today. Ninja, what's good, man? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. Time to start chaos. How? By debating who's going where. That's what we're going to talk about. We got a lot to discuss today. And we're on a time crunch. I got like an hour and 15 max. So we got a tight hour. We're going to have a good time. Next week, I should have some more time. We'll be able to stretch out a little bit. And honestly, next week should be a little more fun because the NBA moratorium will be over. Let me grab... Did I forget the iPad? Give me half his... I guess we just gonna have to do it like old school because I definitely forgot the iPad. I mean, if those teams had those players. Nah, Rob, that still ain't making no sense to me. If Luka... If you're saying if Middleton and Levine were on the same team, would you trade him for Luka Doncic? Nah. Luka built different, bro. Luka's got potential to be top 10 in the league. I ain't even gonna hold you. All right. A couple of things I want to talk about. We're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about rumors. We're going to talk about trades. But there's a couple of things I want to put out there to make it a little easier to understand for everybody because it's a little... Just to break down the timeline of what you should expect. The NBA.com does a great job of really keeping track of the transactions that are going on in the league, of explaining, you know, who went where for what. Woj and Shams do it as well too, but they be going crazy with the tweets, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with a trade if it happened a couple of days ago and you're scrolling through their Twitter because they tweet so much. So go to NBA.com if you're looking for stuff. Their all NBA transaction section under free agency is really, really good. But what I want to go over today for you guys real quick. Let me read this for what y'all talking about in here before I get going. What y'all talking about? Princess play, start bench cut, Curry, Luka, Kobe. Dang, that's tough. This is just my personal one. Start Kobe, bench Curry, cut Luka, because Kobe's career is over. I know what I'm getting from him. Curry's in his prime, but he already had 4 rings, and we've seen, 2 MVPs, Finals MVP. Luka's still an amazing player, but he's not in his. Honestly, I don't think he's in his prime yet. So that's my start bench cut. Ninja, James Harden reduces. Yeah, we're gonna talk about the Harden stuff. We're gonna talk about the Harden stuff. But one thing I do want to talk about before then, just to give a little bit of context to what we're talking about here when it comes to free agency and stuff like that, because I'll explain it in a second. All right, so this is what we call free agency moratorium. So free agency officially starts June 30th, which is tomorrow at 6 p.m. That's when teams can officially start negotiating contracts with players. If you start talking before then, technically it's tampering, technically it's illegal, but people have been doing it, trust me. But the moratorium is from July 1st through the 6th, which is when teams can talk to players, but they cannot sign players. If you officially sign a player during this moment, or if you officially claim even that you signed a player during this moment, you can lose. I've seen teams lose draft picks. I've seen teams get fined. This was a big issue either last year or the year before, where soon as free agency opened up, like as soon as, for example, in this case, 6 p.m. on the 30th, Woj tweeted like 10 free agent signings, basically meaning y'all clearly was in contact and communication before them. So this is when teams are supposed to be negotiating. A couple of things that can be happening here. Teams will sign their rookies during this time. Teams will sign restricted agents during this time. This is also when restriction for agents can accept or deny their offers. They didn't have conversations with new teams. I just wanted to put that out there because I feel like there's a lot of hype surrounding tomorrow at 6 p.m. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we don't really hear anything concrete. I think we're just going to hear a lot of more conversation of this person's probably going there, this person's likely going there. I don't think we're going to really see anything definite. Princess Plays, gotta go. See you in the comments. All right, man. Later. Thanks for pulling up to the stream. Appreciate you. If you rewatch it, I appreciate that as well. James Harden's willing to have a salary. Separate accounts. Eastern time. Ninja says Eastern time zone. Yes, we are Eastern time zone. 8 p.m. Eastern. So I just wanted to go over that, the free agency moratorium, and what exactly that is. All right, now we're gonna hop into some of the stuff that I actually am excited about, really wanted to talk about. You know what, Rob? Since you is that Rob? Oh, that's RubTub, not Rob. I don't know if I like RubTub. I might be calling you Rob. I ain't gonna hold you. Well, Rob, since you asked, they're on the list, but since you asked, we'll get into it. So the first thing he asked about, where's Kyrie going? Where's Russ going? What's up with that? So as of right now, Kyrie Irving opted into, I want to say, his $37 million contract. Let me pull that up right now. Yeah, Kyrie opted into his $36 million contract. This was yesterday or 2 days ago, which was wild because there was so much hype surrounding it. They were saying he could potentially be, opt out of his contract, take a minimum contract with the Lakers for $6 million, mid-level exception contract with the Lakers for $6 million. Never happened, didn't happen. Honestly, I'm happy it didn't happen. I want him to stay on the Nets. I want the Nets to figure it out. Going into the whole Kyrie, KD, Harden situation with Brooklyn, we were all like, okay, this is insane. A lot of people were talking about guaranteed championship. I was iffy on the defense of that team, but I definitely thought they was going to be an offensive beast and definitely at least in the conversation of contenders. Didn't work out, didn't happen that way. Harden ends up on the Sixers. Kyrie doesn't really play all last year because of COVID, is in and out of the lineup this year because of COVID as well. And then we get to the point where Kyrie is looking like doesn't want to be there at all. The Nets don't want him there. At least that's how it's appearing. Now we have Kyrie. Now we know at least Kyrie and KD will be there going into next season. We'll have to see what we get out of Ben Simmons. But for me personally, I want this team to work out. Am I saying I want to win a championship over my Sixers? No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is I want to at least see what this team can do on the court and give them a chance. Now, to answer your question, Rob, what do I see them doing in the future? Honestly, if it doesn't work out, the Nets could trade Kyrie. Like, that is, I want to say, like a back pocket thing that they have. They could trade him. It's a big if though, because now he's in the expiring year, the last year of his deal. A team that does trade for him will want to have at least some sort of insurance that he's going to re-sign with them. You're not going to want to give a whole lot of assets for a player who's going to still walk away. And now you're without that player you traded for and all the assets you gave away for him. There's still this rumbling I hear in Lakers media, especially LakersDaily.com. I see them pop up on my timeline all the time of like a back pocket deal between the Lakers and the Nets for Russ for Kyrie. Do I think that will actually happen? To be honest with you, no. I don't see that actually happening, because even if Kyrie isn't working out for the Nets, or even if Russ isn't working out for the Lakers, both of those guys are on aspiring deals. Russ is technically making a little bit more money than Kyrie, so the Nets would have to find a way to match that money a little bit better. But with both those guys on aspiring deals, if Russ gets traded, I don't see him re-signing with the Nets. It has to really, really be going bad for that trade to happen. If it's just going mediocre, I don't see it happening. It's got to be going really, really bad. So Lakers fans, I hate to break it to you. To me, there's not a way y'all get Kyrie, at least not this season. Maybe he signs with y'all after Russ is off your books. Maybe he signs with y'all in some way, but not this season. There's no way I see y'all getting him this season. Ninja, all right, we'll talk about it since you're here. So let's talk about my Sixers real quick. So James Harden, bless his soul, turned down his player option. Let me tell you how much money he left on the table, because he's a better man than me. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if I had the opportunity for this much money, I don't know if I would have opted out. The Sixers would have just had to been mad at me. James Harden has declined his $47.3 million player option and is now a free agent. Listen. Wait a second. Did I say your Sixers or did I say our Sixers? I don't know what I said. Our, your. I mean, I'm a Sixers fan as well. Ninja, did you not know I'm also a Sixers fan? All right, maybe. Okay. So he turns down his $47.3 million player option. I said my Sixers. Oh, our Sixers. I get you. I guarantee you, no exaggeration, I'm not turning down almost $50 million. Just like how Russ didn't turn it down, I wouldn't have turned it down either. It's nice to see him do it, because the reports are saying he's doing this because he wants to help the Sixers win a championship. He wants to at least help push them into title contention, to be able to take a little bit less money to build a better team around him and around Joel. I can see him probably signing for some sort of $3 or 4 year deal, or somewhere around the 30-35 mil a year. A little bit less than a max contract, gives us a little bit of flexibility to sign PJ Tucker, which, Ninja, I know. Oh no, I said as a team, let me explain what you're talking about, what I'm talking about, Ninja. As from a team fan standpoint, I'm happy that James Harden declined his player option. But if I was James Harden, as just on a personal level, we're talking generational wealth type money, for me and my family, I would have taken the almost $50 million over whatever money he's going to sign for, in this new deal. Mainly because even if he has a repeat of last season, James Harden is still, even if he's what he was last year, that's still all-star caliber. So you get $50 million this year, you can then sign somewhere else or re-sign with the Sixers for about $30 million a year. Like, that's kind of sort of what I'm saying. So Ninja, we talked about this in the Discord. Shameless plug, if you're not in the Discord, join the Discord. RubTub, Princess Plays. I don't know if I'll be seeing y'all in the Discord if y'all join the Discord yet. Ninja be in there. Me and him be talking all the time. But Ninja's basically been, telling me these last couple of days he doesn't want to see PJ Tucker on our team. He doesn't want to see Eric Gordon on our team. And I'm going to tell you why. To me, at least, it kind of makes sense. Yes, I get it. PJ Tucker is getting up there in age. Yes, I get it. Eric Gordon is getting up there in age. Neither of those guys are young guys. But neither of those guys are also going to see a crazy amount of time of play on the floor. PJ Tucker, He's looking at a 3-year, $30 million contract. So you're looking about $10 million a year for PJ Tucker. It's one of his larger contracts he's got throughout his career. Is he necessarily worth that at this point in time? On the right team, probably. If you're a contending team and have the money, I can see why you would want to pay PJ. Do we need a Discord call? I might open up a Discord a little bit later. I got a lot I want to talk about. Do you want to pay PJ Tucker? And I'm going to tell you why. For me, I don't think this is an overpay for PJ. PJ Tucker's an excellent three-point shooter. I won't say excellent, but he's solid. He's a very good three-point shooter. We know he's deadly from the corners. He's been deadly from the corners for years. So that's helping spread the floor for James Harden. That's helping spread the floor for Joel. His defender can't sag off of him, especially at that power forward position. I also just saw PJ Tucker. Yeah, we're round 2 contenders. I feel you. My wife calls us second round exits all the time. We're a second round exit team. She makes fun of me all the time for it. I also just saw PJ Tucker, might sound crazy, but lock up Trae Young in the playoffs for the Miami Heat. I saw countless possessions where PJ Tucker is somehow guarding Trae Young 94 feet up and down the court. If he can get me that, and because the thing is, the difference I think between the Heat and the Sixers is, I don't honestly think he's even going to get as much play time on the Sixers as he got on the Heat, because we have Tobias, who plays a lot of 4. PJ's going to be playing a lot of 4 as well. I mean, we could slide Tobias to the 3 depending on how he makes the moves, if whether or not we have Matisse on the team still. I like the move a lot for PJ. I love his defense. I love his shooting. Because to be honest with you, what are his stats? I can pull it up for you. Because also, to be honest with you, PJ Tucker, to me, call me crazy, is an upgrade from Niang. And I like Niang a lot. But Niang gets a lot of minutes. He spent a lot of time on the floor. He doesn't do much outside of shoot the ball, right? Doesn't do anything defensively, not doing anything. It's not he's putting the ball on the ground, creating shots for himself, creating shots for other, but he gets a lot of time. So PJ Tucker, this past season, 41% from 3. For his career, he's 36% from 3. Nothing crazy in terms of scoring. 7 a game. Can y'all see that? Is that big enough? Let me do this for y'all real quick. Boop. Boop. There we go. Oh, way too big. Way too big. Way too big. That's what she said. All right. PJ Tucker, the 2021-22 year. 41% from the field on 2 threes a game. If you go back, and that's with minutes played, about 27 minutes a game. I would love to see that number go up of his shots per game, especially with oh, you're talking about Eric Gordon? I don't know what Eric Gordon's contract they're talking about for what the Sixers could potentially offer Eric Gordon. I just know PJ Tucker's, from what I've seen, they're looking at a 30 mil over about 3 years. So that's like 10 mil a year. Honestly, I'm not 100% sure what Eric Gordon's contract is going to look like. We can talk about that in a second though. But for me, for PJ, I like what he brings to the team. Potentially, I think he's an upgrade from Niang, like I said. I know he only shot about 3 threes a game this past season, but that was on the Miami Heat. With, to be honest with you, outside of, and no offense, I like the Miami Heat a lot, but they're not necessarily a team that has amazing playmakers. I like Jimmy Butler. I like Kyle Lowry. I wouldn't call them elite playmakers. I would call James Harden an elite playmaker. I think James Harden can get PJ Tucker a lot of corner threes. We saw him do that in Houston. If you look at his Houston numbers, he was shooting 4.5 threes a game on high 30s. If we can get something, even just a mix of that, I don't need to shoot 5 threes a game. Give me like 4, 3.5 on like 38%. I'd be happy with that. And you still bring elite defense. I like the option of PJ Tucker joining the Sixers. The Eric Gordon situation, I'll be honest with you, I haven't, outside of like a couple of tweets, and I was looking for it, outside of basically a couple of tweets, a couple of local Sixers guys, from at least what I could tell, no one's telling me exactly what he's worth or what the Sixers are willing to pay, I'll say. I wouldn't mind him on the team if it's for the right price. I'll say that. Because I think Eric Gordon has an opportunity to fulfill that Seth Curry role that we were missing. shot creator off the bench. I think we missed that. Seth Curry was a little bit better because, oh, you said Sixers getting, there's no way Sixers get Jalen Brunson. I'm just going to keep it a B. Ninja, there's no way Sixers get Jalen Brunson. The money he's about to demand, Jalen Brunson's going to demand upwards of $30 million a year. Not $30 million in his contract, but $30 million a year. We just simply don't have the money for that. It'd be either Jalen Brunson or James Harden. Like, Brunson's going to have a very similar contract to James Harden. Mark my word. But speaking of Bobby Portis, yes, Bobby Portis did opt out of his contract. That is something that happened. Was that today? Yesterday? I want to say it was today. Bobby Portis opted out of his contract. Something that's really interesting to me. One, I was surprised he did. I mean, it makes sense. After seeing Bobby Portis in the playoffs, after seeing basically what he did these last 2 seasons, because he was great for them the year they won the championship, and he was great for them last season as well, especially with Brook Lopez out. He stepped up his game a lot. He showed me a lot of things in his game that I didn't think he was able to do. Just to give you some context for what Bobby Portis brings to the table. Bobby Portis last season averaged 14 points, almost 10 rebounds, 47% from the field, 40% from 3. Bobby Portis is nice. I think Bobby Portis is going to get a little bag for himself. I don't know exactly what that's going to look like. I don't know exactly who his suitors are. From what I can tell, it's still fresh because he just opted out. I hope the Bucks can keep him, but honestly, I don't think they'll be able to afford him. I think he can help out a lot of teams. I would love to see Bobby Portis on, honestly, any team that needs a center. Bobby Portis would look great on the Hornets. Bobby Portis would potentially look great on the Hawks. Bobby Portis would look great. Honestly, I'd like Bobby Portis on the Bulls instead of Vucevic, because I haven't loved what I saw from Vucevic this past season. You probably get him for less money, and he brings more defensively. I don't know if that would actually happen, but those are the type of teams I can see Bobby Portis going to, just to give you a heads up. RubTub asked, do I think KD is going to go play with Lillard? No. At least not this coming season. I think if there was a world where Kyrie didn't opt into his contract, then maybe, yes, you would see Kevin Durant potentially move to go to Portland. But with Kyrie opting into his contract, I think the Nets are going to stay exactly as they are. I don't see the Nets changing pretty much anything. Next guy who opted out of his contract, going down the list here, Bradley Beal opted out of his contract. So a lot of people have been, I've heard Bradley Beal to Miami. I've heard Bradley Beal to the Sixers instead of James Harden. I have heard that a lot. I've heard Bradley Beal's name just a lot with a couple of different teams, mainly Miami. I've heard him out in New York, and I've heard him with the Mavericks if they didn't keep Brunson. I'm gonna keep it a beam with you. Bradley Beal, I don't think you need to go to a team to try to win a championship. Call me a hater, call me someone who, doesn't necessarily understand winning is everything. But to me, Bradley, take the bag. The Wizards can pay you the most amount of money. Now, if I'm Washington, if I'm looking at it from the organization's standpoint, is it smart to pay Bradley Beal the max? Bradley Beal would become, I want to say, the highest paid player in the NBA. Is he that talented of a player? No, he ain't. I'll keep it a B. He's not. Bradley Beal's an all-star at best. I don't think he's an all-NBA caliber player. I don't think he's a superstar. He is an all-star at best, and might not even be an all-star starter caliber player. But also Washington, if you want to just continue to sell tickets, if you want to fight to make the playoffs, if you want to just generate money, that then comes down to what's the ownership want, what's the general managers want. If you want to tank, sure, go ahead and be my guest. But if you want to make some money, sign Bradley Beal. Keep it going. I hope he stays there personally. I think he could have a big impact on some other teams, but I also would like to see what Bradley Beal and Porzingis can do. I think it would just be a nice little fun mix for those play-in, low playoff teams that continue to fight and be one of those teams that battle for them lower seeds in the Eastern Conference. Garland is underrated. What you mean by underrated, RubTub? He was an all-star this year, right? I feel like he got a lot of flowers. I feel like a lot of people know about Garland. To me, I feel like he's properly rated. That's just me. But I'm curious to see where you think he should be rated if you're calling him underrated. To me, I think a lot of people know about Darius Garland. I think he put on the show this past year, and he put the league on notice, and people know he's a very, very good guard in this league. Another thing that happened recently, this was yesterday. No, this was a long day. Woj did a lot of tweeting. Okay, now it's time for the dice game. All right. So Woj tweeted out earlier today talking about Washington finalizing the trade to acquire Denver's Will Barton and Monte Morris for Contavious Caldwell-Pope and Ish Smith. For Washington, I think this is actually really nice. This is also why I think Bradley Beal is going to stay at Washington, because they're not blowing this team up. If you ask me, low-key, Will Barton is a slight upgrade over KCP. Just it's very slight. It's very, very slight. Ish Smith I kind of liked, but he's smooth, but I don't love him. But Monte Morris is a guy who would play. Will Barton's a guy who gives Washington some really good wing depth. And KCP was playing really well for Washington, and I think he's going to play even better in Denver, mainly because the Joker. Joker makes guys who can catch and shoot look amazing because of his passing. Roll the dice and see where Ayton goes. We do got to talk about him. He is on my list. He's in the rumors section. I'm still going through things that actually happened and have happened. The Knicks are making room for Jalen Brunson. They now have $30 million in cap space. They traded away. Who did the Knicks trade away? I literally wrote it down. Later, Ninja. Thanks for pulling up. So the Knicks traded away Nerlens Noel and Alec Burks to the Pistons to make room for Jalen Brunson. They now have about $30 million to sign Jalen Brunson. I think you really have to take a second to ask yourself, if you're the Knicks, or even if you're a Knicks fan, to ask yourself, is Jalen Brunson worth $30 million a year? Because we just said, mind you, we just heard rumors, we just heard conversations of the fact that James Harden opted out of his contract and is probably going to be somewhere in that $30 million a year ballpark. That's the type of money Jalen Brunson is looking for. That's the type of money that the New York Knicks are about to offer Jalen Brunson. Now, I'm not saying that Jalen Brunson is a bad player. I'm not saying he's not potentially deserving of that. But if I'm the Knicks, I feel like you got to look at your... This is hilarious. I feel like you got to look at your roster, because literally right here, I think if you're the Knicks, you got to take a hard look at yourself, because you have to ask yourself, how far does this roster take you? Like, how far does this roster take you in the Eastern Conference? I don't know if this makes the Knicks that much better. I mean, you could be you could be banking on Julius Randle having a bounce back year, looking like how he did in his MIP season. You could bank on RJ taking another step forward, Mitchell Robinson taking another step forward, Evan Fournier looking at least half decent offensively. He did not look good this year. But to me, this is a play-in team. I don't know if I'm willing to go out and sign somebody for $30 million a year just to be a play-in team. That's just my thought. No offense to Brunson. I like him a lot, honestly. I just hope he stays in Dallas. Rub says, I'm kind of weird about Garland because I'm a Cavs fan. That makes sense. All right. I'm kind of weird about Garland because I'm a Cavs fan. I have no problem with that. I definitely think Sexton defensively is underrated. Colin Sexton defensively is nice. I'll give you that. He is underrated defensively, and I think this year might have been an opportunity for him to show it off. I think injuries messed him up a little bit. I mean, not a little bit. Injuries messed up his opportunity to show off his skills, obviously, because he didn't play. I want to say he played 11 games this season. Once again, not necessarily his fault. He was injured. Where is... I lost my Google Chrome window. Anyway, I think this would have been the opportunity or the year for Colin Sexton to show the world that he is a really good defender, mainly because everyone had their eyes on the Cavaliers because you guys were actually really good this year. In previous years, I don't think people knew how good Colin Sexton was defensively because no one was watching the Cavs because, well, We know why. We talked about Russell Westbrook opting into his deal. I'm not surprised. Very similar to the opposite of me saying I'm surprised that Harden opted out, but I'm happy as a Sixers fan. I'm not surprised Russell Westbrook opted in. $47 million is a lot of money. Once again, like I said earlier, there's no way you would have been able to convince me, Hawk, to opt out of $47 million. I don't care if I played trash all last season. I don't care if the fan base hates me. I'm taking that money. Also, mainly because if I'm Russ, I'm taking that money because of the season I had last year. I have no idea what the market is for me. So Russ, you take this money, you put in work in this offseason, you get your mind right, you get your body right, I think mainly your mind right. If I'm Russ, you come into this upcoming season willing to make sacrifices when needed to, willing to lock in defensively, willing to make smarter decisions with the basketball, and you raise your value. Russell Westbrook, you have to raise your stock if you want a half decent contract after this season is over. You simply have to. So that's also why he opted in. One, because it's $47 million. Two, he has to raise his stock. He just has to. Next up on the docket, John Wall to the Clippers. I was actually really happy about this one. One, finally, Houston. I don't know what took y'all so long to buy his contract out. Also, I read that he only took like $6 million off of his contract, so he still walked away like $40 million, which is insane. Most buyout situations, the team and the player have to negotiate a lot more than just taking a measly $6 million off of a almost $46 million contract. Because I want to say Blake Griffin gave up almost half his money when he was bought out of Detroit. Like, usually players end up giving up a lot of money in buyout situations. That's why buyouts are a little rare, because it's very rare that a team just says, here's all your money. But shout out to Houston. They finally bought him out. I wish they did it sooner, to be completely honest with you. I would have loved to see him play this past season, but I like him on the Clippers. I like him a lot. I've been saying for a while, especially seeing this Clippers team, without Paul George, without Kawhi this past season, they were pretty successful. And one thing that I saw from them, and one of the things I wanted to see from them in the future, was if they can get a playmaking point guard, they're going to be dangerous. John Wall has the potential to be that playmaking point guard. They don't need him to do a lot. They don't need him to come in there and look like John Wall of the Wizards. They honestly might not even need him to come in there and look like John Wall that we saw for that half a season with the Rockets. You don't need 20 points a game from John Wall. If you get it, that's amazing if it's on solid efficiencies, but you don't need that from him. You need a guard who can attack the basket, a guard who can drive and kick, a guard who can set up some of the other guys. And I think that's what you can get from John Wall. And the beauty of it is, because you still have Reggie Jackson, a guard who is still really solid. I like Reggie's game. Reggie is a solid guard. John Wall doesn't have to walk in and immediately enter that starting role. He can work up to that if he proves that he's worthy of that starting role. The Celtics already know, the Clippers already know what they're going to get from Reggie. The question mark is on John Wall. So if John Wall can prove himself to be an excellent starter to insert himself into that starting lineup, now if you're the Clippers, you have one of the best backup guards in the league in Reggie Jackson. Because Reggie Jackson is an okay starter. I'm not going to say a solid starter that can start on almost any team in the league, because there's a lot of great point guards in the league. But he's a solid, okay starter. But he's an amazing sixth man. Before we go on to the next one, Reptub says, would you accept this? Giannis, 2 firsts for LeBron and Russ. No. All right. Okay. The hypotheticals, y'all killing me with the hypotheticals today. All right, not saying that it would happen, but would you accept this? I know it sounds stupid because they're old, but if you could change this trade, tell me what you would change it to. If I'm the Bucks, I'm not accepting this. There's not a world where I accept this trade. If I'm the Bucks, honestly, I mean, if you're the Lakers, yeah, you would love to have this trade. You start your rebuild and you continue to move forward in the future with Giannis. You trade Anthony Davis for guards and stuff, people who can shoot well, and you literally rebuild the Bucks just on the West Coast. But if I'm the Bucks, there's no way in the world I'm accepting this trade, bro. And there's not even, you know what I would change? I would change it to not it. I don't want to sound rude, but I don't think I can find a way to change that. To be just being me. Hugo, what's good, man? Thanks for pulling up to the stream. Who's better, Curry or LeBron? Curry. Right now, based on this past season, I'd take Steph Curry. That's just me, though. Could change next year. Call it recency bias because you just won Finals MVP, potentially. Yeah, sure. But if you ask me, I'd take Curry. But it's not necessarily a landslide. It wasn't stupid. It was just, I don't think it's just a trade that's going to happen. Because that money also was crazy. That's like trading $100 million. Because I want to say Russ is at like 40. Russ and LeBron James are two of the top 5 paid people in the league right now. Russ is at like $47 million. LeBron's at like 44-ish. Yeah, their contracts are insane. Well, to the Clippers, we talked about Kyrie opted in. Another trade that actually happened that I'm really excited to see happen. Christian Wood to the Mavericks. I think that's going to be huge for the Mavs. I really do. I want to say I made a TikTok about it a week ago when it happened, but I really think that's going to be huge for the Dallas Mavericks. I like Christian Wood's game. All the Rockets fans that follow me on Twitter and or just that I also follow on Twitter were telling me that he's been super inconsistent, that he's not that guy. They were saying it's not necessarily going to be what you think it is. I'm gonna play devil's advocate and say the inconsistencies was because, one, he really didn't have a point guard to play with. Like, he didn't have somebody who can set him up who is a good playmaker. He didn't really have a winning culture around him. He was in a culture that was losing, I don't want to say on purpose, but basically on purpose, just developing their young guys. And now going to a culture that was just in the Western Conference Finals with one of the best playmakers in the league. And he's an athletic big who looks great in the pick and roll, catching lobs, and can shoot the three a little bit. Mark my words, Christian Wood's going to look amazing next season. Yeah, Giannis is signed to an insane deal as well, just not as much as Westbrook and LeBron combined. Like, all of them are making around the same amount of money. I want to say, yeah, all of them are making about upwards of $40 million. Hugo, who will win in a 2v2? Curry and LeBron or Kobe and Shaq? Oh, y'all just in here with the hypotheticals today. Kobe, Shaq. Yeah, I'd go Kobe, Shaq. I love Bron, I love Curry, but there's no one in this earth who could stop Shaq in his prime. So I'm going with them too. What's next on the docket today? All right. So I saw this tweet earlier today and it made me go, huh? Right. The screenshot. The Suns believe that they could find a number of other centers who can give them the type of production that DeAndre Ayton can. Brian Windhorst said this on, I want to say NBA Today, earlier today. Now, if you go to Basketball Reference, right, you go to Ayton, 17 and 10, 60% from the field, 36% from three. How many threes did he take this past year? I don't remember him taking. Okay, I'm like, because 36% from three sounds crazy. I don't remember him taking nothing. That's because he didn't. Not really a blocky game. A little bit of defensive inconsistency from Ayton. Sometimes some offensive inconsistency if you consider he's someone who you would think would do a lot more offensively, take his own shot and create his own shot and be a little more assertive and dominating like he has tattooed on his back. To say, and I quote, a number of other centers who can give them the type of production that DeAndre Ayton can. If that's the mindset that the Suns are going into this free agency period with, the Suns window might be open, might be closed. It really might be, because I'm gonna tell you right now, and I can pull it up for you. I was looking at it earlier because I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to be like, what are they seeing that I'm not seeing? You know, they get paid to do this. I'm just a guy with a mic and a camera who likes to do this every now and then because he likes to talk about basketball. So I just went to the 2022 free agency tracker. Like I said earlier, you can literally do this too. NBA.com does a great job of this. I literally went to the tracker. You can type in center. These are the centers that are available. LaMarcus Aldridge. There's DeAndre Ayton right there. Mo Bamba, Bismack Biyombo, who's a former Sun. Chris Boucher, Tony Bradley, Thomas Bryant, Nick Claxton, DeMarcus Cousins, Dwayne Dedmon, Ed Davis, Gorgie Jang. Drummond, that's a solid name. The first name I would say could potentially give you Ayton level of production. It's a different type of player though, but could give you Ayton level of production. Fernando, Ennis Freedom, Michael Green, Montrez, Dwight. Like, as you can literally see as we're scrolling, so Jusuf Nurkic, solid name there as well, but it's looking like he's going to re-sign with the Portland Trailblazers from the last I saw. So maybe outside of Jusuf Nurkic and Drummond, who is giving you this level of production? Like, who is giving you DeAndre Ayton level of production that's an available center? I'm worried about the Suns, y'all. I really am. Chris Paul's not getting any younger. They don't want to pay a real center, which I get. You don't want to overpay, because there were times when I thought DeAndre Ayton should be doing more than he was doing, especially in the playoffs. But I also think a future of DeAndre Ayton and Devin Booker is a really solid future. So you pay him for the upside. Because if you let him go and don't really replace his production, their window was closed. Chris Paul's not getting any younger, and that's one of my favorite point guards of all time. He's actually my favorite point guard of all time. But he's not getting any younger. I don't see his production going up. I don't know what next leap Devin Booker can take. To be real with you, I don't know if Devin Booker has another level. This just might be Devin Booker, which is still an all-NBA guy. He just might not be a championship pushing level guy. He might not be like Steph Curry. I couldn't think of honestly, that's the only other guard who's won his team a championship in recent history. All the other people that have won championships, and in the words of Charles Barkley, was the bus driver on his championship team, were wings in recent history that I'm trying to think of. LeBron's team, Kawhi's team, the Warriors teams, and the Bucks. So all wings and bigs. I just hope the Suns don't fumble this. I like DeAndre Ayton a lot. I think there's another level to his game, and I think if they let him go, they're going to regret it. You don't have that much basketball knowledge. Don't even know Giannis had to go. Hey man, that's all right. We all start somewhere. When I first started watching basketball, when I first started getting into basketball, I didn't have a lot of NBA basketball knowledge. I only know stuff now because I'm obsessed and have people like Shams and Woj on notifications turned on Twitter. I read a lot. We talked about the Knicks earlier today, potentially overpaying Jalen Brunson. Some rumors came out that not only is he going to be meeting with the Knicks and the Mavericks, but he now also might be potentially meeting with the Miami Heat. If the Knicks somehow fumble this bag, trade away these pieces, make all this cap space, and Jalen Brunson doesn't even go there, that would be tragic. For the Miami Heat, though, I think Jalen Brunson is a perfect fit. A lot of people have said they want to see Bradley Beal go to Miami. If they can't get Bradley Beal, I think Jalen Brunson is the next best thing. He's a guard who, have we seen, create his own shot, create shots for others. He's a tough shot maker. He's a great fit in my mind for Miami. He's a young guy who can continue to age with Bam along that timeline with Bam and Tyler Hero, as Jimmy Butler may potentially age out in the future. I think he'll slide right in with Miami. I would love to see him go there if he doesn't stay with the Mavericks. My first hope for him is to stay with the Mavericks. I like what him and Luka have. I think he's the perfect guard to play alongside Luka Doncic. But if for some reason that doesn't work out, I do not want to see him go on the Knicks. I think it's going to be a waste of his time. I would love to see him on Miami, though. Oh, yes, you definitely got to start somewhere. You are already better than me. I ain't start watching basketball till I was for real watching basketball. Probably like 14, 15. So you know what I mean? You doing great. I don't know if I said this earlier, but we're in the rumor mill now. Y'all hanging out. We hanging out. We're going through some rumors. Next week, we should have a little more concrete stuff to talk about. Be a little bit more exciting. But the rumors are also exciting to me. And some rumors are potentially shopping around D'Angelo Russell. Who reported this? I'll tell you in half a second. Boop. The Timberwolves are actively shopping D'Angelo Russell. And this is from Matt Moore, who's an NBA writer for Action News Network. He's a Timberwolves guy. It's definitely not a name I recognize, so I'm taking this information with a grain of salt. He's a blue check on Twitter. He's got like 100,000 followers. Doesn't necessarily mean a ton. I'm just saying it's a name I've never heard it before. So I'm letting you know. I'm taking it with a grain of salt. What's the Discord? I will let you know. It should be. Is Discord in the it should be in the description, bro. I'll tell you right now for sure, but it should be in the description to this, literally to this YouTube video. Oh, it's not? That's crazy. All right. Hold on, y'all. Who are we talking about? So yeah, D'Angelo Russell potentially leaving the Minnesota Timberwolves. I said it earlier this year. I like D'Angelo Russell. I like his game. However, I think with the emergence of Anthony Edwards, I don't know if the Timberwolves need D'Angelo Russell. I think the Timberwolves can move him, use his money in some other spots, use his money to get more of a playmaking point guard and some additional wing depth. I've heard conversations of potentially moving D'Angelo Russell to make room for adding Rudy Gobert, which I'll be honest, I hate. So many people have had the conversation of moving Karl-Anthony Towns to the power forward spot and adding a more defensive center to the Timberwolves. I know Karl-Anthony Towns can shoot. I know Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the best three-point shooting bigs of all time. I know Karl-Anthony Towns is skilled and can put the ball on the floor and attack the basket from the perimeter. I also know that it's very easy to stop him when he does stuff like that. Because I saw the Memphis Grizzlies I'm trying to think before I say this. Was it the Grizzlies? The memory be fuzzy. I'll just say the playoffs because I can't remember who their opponent was. I want to say it's the Grizzlies, but I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. I'll be honest. I saw teams easily stop Karl-Anthony Towns with guards and wings because he's trying to attack them on the perimeter. Because he's not an amazing ball handler. He's solid. He can drive past the center. But if he's going to be playing the perimeter that much, you just put a smaller guy on him, and now you basically negate him from the game. Because the versatility of Karl-Anthony Towns is what makes him great. Karl-Anthony Towns should not be playing the 4, in my mind. Karl-Anthony Towns should always be playing the 5. All right, boom, boom, boom. Discord link is in the chat. What, Rob? Rob says, I know this is irrelevant, but is shrimp good? Yeah, shrimp is one of my favorite things. People do be hating on it because it's low-key a dirty animal. But I don't want to ruin it for you because you said you're only 11. If you ever want to Google one day why people dislike shrimp, I'm saying that's on you. I love it though. So D'Lo moving, I think it's a lot of teams that could be interested in him. I think it's gonna be hard to move him though because offensively he's really good. Defensively he's a liability, and he's on a relatively max contract, so it's not gonna be easy to move him. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Timberwolves at least try, or I'm not surprised to hear that the Timberwolves are trying. Mo Bamba's on the move. He's an unrestricted free agent. Orlando Magic let him go. You know what's crazy? I low-key forgot about him. He's a guy who could be a really solid backup big for a couple of teams. I hear the Bulls and the Raptors are interested. I don't know if I don't think he see him becoming the starter on either of those teams. The Raptors, he fits in with their age timeline, so I think that'd be really good. And the Bulls, I think he'd be a great backup over what they have. The Bulls desperately need a backup center. I mean, desperately. I think he'd look great there. And then it's funny, speaking of, was that you, Rob, who was talking about the Cavaliers earlier? I'm trying to scroll up in the chat to find it. Or was that Play Shorts? Well, Sexton is looking for money. That's the longest short of it. Colin Sexton is looking for close to, I want to say I saw about $30 million this season. I'm pulling up right now. Colin Sexton is seeking a contract upwards of $20 million annually. That's from Jake Fisher. Cleveland presented a deal closer to Jordan Clarkson's 3-year, $50 million deal earlier this season. He did turn that down. What's 50 divided by 3? That's 17. So he wants like 2022 probably. I think he's worth it. I think Colin Sexton, like we talked about earlier, he's a really good guard. I think he's a great scorer. He's a great shooter. He's an excellent defender, especially at that point guard position, which is very valuable considering so many elite point guards in the league nowadays. I just worry. I don't want to necessarily even say worry. I think the Cavaliers proved that they would thrive more with Darius Garland and a playmaking point guard instead of Darius Garland and a scoring point guard like they would have with Colin Sexton. Because when they had Ricky Rubio before he went down with his injury, they were rolling. Ricky Rubio is not necessarily a great scoring guard. He can, give you a bucket from time to time, but he's an excellent playmaker to set up guys like Mobley, set up guys like, Allen. And I don't know if Colin Sexton can step up and be a playmaking guard for them. I'd be very curious to see how that turns out for them in the future. And then the last two things I want to talk about real quick. And like I said, I feel like we've been all over the place. I knew this was going to be kind of a rundown situation of just rattling off names and y'all rocking with me, talking in the chat. Victor Oladipo is unrestricted free agent this year. Where he goes, no idea. I think Victor Oladipo got the short end of the stick. He's still coming off injuries. He looked a little inconsistent at times. He had that amazing game against my Sixers in the playoffs where I want to say he had 23 in the game that Jimmy Butler didn't play. He had moments when he looked good, and then he had moments when he shot like 20% from the field. Big ups and big downs for Victor Oladipo this past season. Still looking a little iffy off the injury, which is understandable. I think for the Miami Heat, you have the luxury of waiting on Victor Oladipo. I think if they wanted him, they would offer him a contract to bring him back. But if they get Jalen Brunson, buy Victor. But if they don't get Jalen, if they don't get some of the other guards that might be on their list, I think you can potentially see Victor Oladipo returning to the Miami Heat this year. Because I don't know if there's a bona fide playoff team or even a contending team that's willing to take the risk on Victor Oladipo. And he's already been there and he's already fits into the culture. The guys already know him. It makes sense to retain him if you miss on some of your other things. And then the other free agent other guy that's a free agent this summer is Blake Griffin. I'll be surprised if he remains a net. I think he can help out a lot of teams. I think he'd be great on a young, good team that wants some front court depth. There were some moments this past season with Blake Griffin where he looked like a solid defender. I'm not saying he looked amazing. He also potentially looked solid because he's on the Nets and there really wasn't much defense on that team. So he turned out to be the primary defender in a lot of situations because they had no other options. But I liked what I saw from Blake this year. I would love if we can get at least something close to the Blake Griffin that we saw in Detroit. I've said this before. That was my favorite version of Blake Griffin. My absolute favorite version. Hey, Sunsgate, what's good, man? Late to the party, stopping by to show some love. Love your content, man. Likewise. I actually just watched. I literally just watched one of your videos earlier today. I watched a lot of YouTube videos today with all the trades and conversations talking. I see you're still holding out for Kevin Durant to well, I don't know if you're still holding out now that Kyrie is staying with the Nets, but I saw there were some moments, especially on Twitter, when you were holding out for Kevin Durant to the Suns, and I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't hate it. I got to see if you talked about DeAndre Ayton recently. I'm curious what your thoughts are on that. I have to go check out your channel after this. But Blake Griffin, unrestricted free agent, not a big name, but he's one of the guys of my, crazy enough to say, one of the guys of my childhood almost, or at least the time when I first started getting into basketball in the 2010s. Wow, absolutely wild. Let me see, is there anything? We've been live about 55 minutes. Y'all know me, the lives don't be crazy long around here. They be about an hour. And I was just about to say we up out of here. RubTub asked an excellent question, and then we out of here after this. Everyone has a different opinion on this. Trae Young or Ja Morant? That's tough. I'm gonna say Trae Young. I like Ja. I like Ja a lot. I love Ja's game. I think Trae Young's a better playmaker. Trae Young's, obviously a better shooter. And I think Trae Young has done more with less. I think Ja Morant has a better team around him than Trae Young does. I'd go Trae Young on that, but I wouldn't be mad either way. Suns Geek says, I have mixed feelings about the Ayton thing. If we keep him, the pressure will be on him for sure. That's for sure. If we sign and trade, I hope we can get a great deal back. Who knows what will happen? That's facts. Whoever pays Ayton, he's gonna have a lot of pressure, and that's the weird thing about Ayton and the spot that he's in. And I've actually, thank you for bringing it up, because I had to start earlier today. Is he's at that weird spot in his career where he wants a max, but he hasn't fully proved to everybody he's worthy of a max. And if he just played better this past postseason, I think it would be a no-brainer, or this past year, more than just the postseason, but this past year, it'd be a no-brainer to give DeAndre Ayton the max. But he left a little doubt in our minds. He just left a little doubt in our minds. So if you give him the money, it's like a future pay deal. It's like you're not necessarily deserving of it right now, but you might be in 2 years, and then we'll be happy to have you for the 3 last years of your contract. But if you don't prove to be, then it's like, dang, we got DeAndre Ayton on this deal, and he's only giving us like 17 and 9. When you want him to give you like at least 22 and 11. It doesn't sound like a crazy difference, but it feels like a crazy difference when you're watching the games, when his impact is there, when his defensive impact is there. DeAndre Ayton's, I'm a guy who loves centers. I'm only 6 feet tall. I was forced to play center in high school. So centers have a place in my heart. I have a place in my heart for centers. I want him to be great. I'm very curious to see how the rest of his career shapes out. Liam says, just wanted to stop by and just wanted to say before the end, I really appreciate all your videos. Hey man, I appreciate that. I appreciate you for watching. But I think that's all we got for today, guys. I appreciate you all for pulling up to the stream. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate you rocking with me. Like I said, we literally got like 1,000 followers this past 3 weeks. So if you're new, I appreciate you for rocking with me. A little rundown of the channel. Just the intro. I'm Hawk, especially if this was your first live. I'm Hawk, if you don't know. That's why it's called Hawks Hoops. I'm not a Hawks fan though. I didn't really think about that until, honestly, like 7 months after I made my channel name, and someone asked me, and I was like, I never really thought about it like that, because everyone calls me Hawk. So I just was naming it after myself, not after the team. I'm a Sixers fan, and I drop a lot of shorts. I drop a lot of TikToks. You can follow me on either here or TikTok. If you follow me on here, it's the same content, but you also get long form stuff. I try to drop a long form video like once a week at least. Sometimes they're like niche to a topic. Sometimes there are a couple of things that I want to talk about. But yeah, thanks for rocking with me, and I'll see you next week. I'm out. Peace.